Moroccan tradition, they begin on the first day of the month. So you will always know, like today is the 7th. You'll know what the day is. You'll know today's the 7th day of Muharram, because you'll be on the 7th juz. So that's a really nice way to do it, which keeps you connected to the lunar month also. And on the 29th day, sometimes they would end up doing 2 juz. And the last juz is always very easy to do because most people memorize it, and so you can even do it when you're walking or something. So that is one really good piece of advice. Another piece of advice that I would say to myself first and foremost, because everything that I'm, in the end, أنا واعظ نفسي, يعني, because I had a teacher who wrote a book called الواعظ غير متعظ. The man who gives counsel and then doesn't take his own counsel. So may Allah forgive us for any counsel we give that we don't take. But it is one of the biggest problems on this planet is people in other people's business. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said in a hadith that Abu Dawood put as one of the 4 hadiths around which the entire religion revolves, and it's min husni Islam al-mar'i tarkuhu la ma la ya'nihi. From the beautiful Islam of a person is that they mind their own business. They leave what does not concern them. Ya'ni is what, the Arabs, like we say in English, people that they say, like in America, I don't know what they say here in England, but we say, It's kind of a filler word when you're talking to somebody. In a lot of Arab countries, they say ya'ni as a filler word. So ya'ni means it means, but ya'nika, it means for you. And so this is Mullah Nasruddin, who they tell a lot of hikmah stories with him, but a man who was a busybody came to his house and knocked on the door, and he said, Mullah, your next door neighbor, you'll never believe this, he's making all these sweetmeats. And Mullah said to him, what's that to me? Like, la ya'nini. He said, no, he's making them for you. And he said, so what's that to you? And there's a great wisdom in that. It's just, does this concern you? Imam Shafi'i asked Imam Malik, how old are you? And Imam Malik said, aqbal ala sha'nak, mind your own business. And Imam Shafi'i, after that, if anybody asked him his age, he would say, aqbal ala sha'nak, mind your own business. So this is called fudul. The Arabs call it fudul. And it's that thing of just curiosity. We have I don't know your version of this, I think it's The Sun, but we have a magazine in America called The National Enquirer. And their tagline for it is, inquiring minds want to know. You see. And so it's just asking about things that are of no concern to you. And so we would really be a much healthier society if people just minded their own business. And that's a great piece of advice from our beloved Prophet ﷺ, is think about really, does this concern you? There are things, if you're not an alim, Imam al-Ghazali said the worst thing that a commoner can do is engage in debates about knowledge. He said it's better for them to sin. He said it's better for them to sin. Because أَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ is one of the worst things according to the Quran, to say about God what you don't know. And that's why in Adab al-Mufti wal Mustafti, in that book, many times in Medina, Sahaba, after the Prophet was gone, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they would ask one of the Sahabi, and he would say, go ask Fulan. And he'd say, go ask Fulan. It would end up coming back to the same Sahabi because none of them wanted to answer. And Malik, when he was asked a question about deen, he would always say, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Because he considered it a musibah. It's a calamity to have the weight of a fatwa, because you're basically saying, this is what I think God or his messenger would say. And the weight of that was so heavy on Malik, that's why he would say, and so the Malikis call a fatwa a nazila. They don't say fatawi, they say nawazil. Nazila is a calamity. And so now everybody's a sheikh. Everybody's like people, it's amazing now. And now we have AI, so people, yeah. So, but very challenging times. And obviously, for all of us have concerns about what's happening in the Middle East, and it's very painful. It's been very painful, but I'll give some advice about that. One, again, كلكم راع وكل راع مسؤول عن رعيته. So everybody has to look at what they can do in any, what's your, because your sphere of concern is not always your sphere of influence or your sphere of activity. But also, husn al-dhan is very important, because some people, people assume if somebody's not virtue signaling, they're not doing anything. But they don't know what people are doing. So it's good to have a good opinion. And there's a hadith which is muttafaqun alayh, in which Usama bin Zayd, who the Prophet ﷺ loved, the son of his beloved, during the time of fitna in Uthman, he came to Usama bin Zayd, a group of the tabi'een, and he said, "Ala tukallimu Uthman?" Like, won't you go and talk to Uthman about what was happening, about the nepotism? And there was one of the governors who was known for drinking and things. So they were there like, "Ala tukallimu Uthman?" He said, "Atadhunnuna anni ukallimuhum hatta tasma'u?" Like, you think I'll just go to talk to him so you can all hear what I have to say? Right? In other words, he was saying, mind your own business. Yeah. And then he said, "Wallahi kallamtuhu fima bainahu wa baini." Like, I spoke to him what was between me and him. And he said, I didn't want to be the first person to open a door that was closed. And Qadi Iyad, in his commentary on that, he said he didn't want to be the first person to condemn the ruler outwardly in front of the masses, because the sunnah was to عند سلطان جائر, to speak in the presence. That's ismu dhuhur, yani, like hudur, afwan, ismu hudur. When you say inda, it means you're in the presence. So kalimatu haqqan inda sultan jair. It's not just shouting about from the mimbar about something. You know, people talk about speaking truth to power. A lot of people are mistaking that for speaking truth to the powerless. There's a difference.